Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Learning Azure in this YouTube channel. This video is not the continuation of any videos, any episodes. This will be an entire new playlist. And in this playlist, we will focus on Azure Service Bus. So I have named this playlist as Azure Service Bus Fundamentals. And in this playlist, we will be discussing very much fundamentally, we will be discussing all about Azure Service Bus. My name is Anshuman Dixit. I'm an Azure Cloud Native Web Apps developer. You can find me in the LinkedIn, in the email, or in the YouTube as well by following these links. So if you want to contact me, you can contact me anytime. So second thing is what exactly Azure Service Bus is. So if you will go to the Microsoft documentation, it's been written over there that Azure Service Bus is a messaging service on the cloud used to connect any application, any device, and any services running in the cloud to any other applications. So mostly Azure Service Bus is being used as an integration service. You will have different services, and inside that, to interact with them, you will get a middle layer, and there it will be used as an integration service. In microservices, we use Azure Service Bus to interact the services, so it's like it will be the service bus hub and you will be interacting with those things. So we will be discussing about all these things later at the time of architecture discussions. Now, the first thing is it is an enterprise ready messaging service. So Microsoft is backing this. So you can think of that we can use these things in the enterprise level. And it is providing the point to point messaging. So we will discuss what is point to point messaging in the next few slides. And it provides obviously publisher and subscriptions functionalities. This is a design pattern, publisher and subscription, subscriber design pattern. So it gives that functionality as well, and more or less it is very cost effective. So what exactly you will be facing difficulty in the designing the solutions with respect to the Azure Service Bus, that is designing a proper architecture. So in cloud, everything is related to architecture. If the architecture is good, you will have a less amount of cost. If the architecture is little bit tricky, it might impact your cost as well. So you need to think all these things very effectively. Now coming up to the next slide. So why we need Azure Service? So if you can see, I was showing you some animations over here. So the left thing is suppose it is one service and the right thing is suppose it is another service. Now these services are dependent upon each other. Now suppose something in the left side is occurring, and after that the right side of the service has to perform some activities. So you will see that if I will just click on the sample, you will able to see. Let me just grab it. Okay, so this one is the left service and this one is the right service, and you can see the variable load. Suppose this left service I am using by front facing to the client, and it has a huge demand in the load. Sometime it is going pick and sometime it is going down, and the second service is dependent upon the first service. So what will happen? The second service also will have this variable load. So if you will see this, these are interacting with each other, and you can see that the variable load over here. So this is the traditional approach what we were designing in the previous time. So ultimately this performs its action and this gives you the finalized result. Now, how the service bus will work? Right now, service bus will act as a middle layer between your left side. Take it as a service one and take this thing as service two, right side as service two, and this one will be the Azure Service Bus. So suppose some performance, some thing we are actually performing in the left side service one, let it be service one. Now right side is also dependent upon each other, but we will try to decouple those things. Suppose there is no dependency that we need to send back some status from here to the service one instantiately, then we can actually decouple all these things. So how we will decouple? So if you can see, so I have presented a graph over here that this is having a variable load. So if you have, you can see that here there is a peak, here there is a down. So this is having a very variable load. But we really don't need those dependency in the second services, right? Because these are independent upon each other. So if you can see, so what we can do is once this thing gets done, I mean this things generate a service message. Suppose it's known as messaging message broker system. So one message will be generated. It will be eventually passed to the Azure Service Bus. Now second, if you can see, second message gets generated. Again, it is passed to the Azure Service Bus. And similarly, I am passing everything to here. Let me just grab all those messages. Yeah. Now the client has the service one has already taken care all the messages and it sent back to the Azure Service Bus. Now by using this service bus messages, this second service will do its own functionality. Think it like a e-commerce website. You are ordering something and now this is actually dispatching those things. Now once you are ordering something, you really don't want to just call the dispatch service and again wait so that this dispatch service will take place and it will give back some result to you, right? So you can actually create those messages and you can pass it to any service bus hub. So in we in Azure we have service bus, in Apache we have Apache Kafka, we have RabbitMQ. You can use any of the messaging platform. So now once this message gets back over here, you can see that this uh, right side service is actually taking messages one by one. If I can show you in the presentation, you can see that this is coming and this is getting consumed. Okay, so all the messages will be consumed like this. Now, what will happen over here? If you can see, the benefit is we will get a constant load. So whether it's variable load or not, you are just decoupling everything from each other, right? You think it like a e-commerce website. So you have ordered a lot of things at the time of festival sale or like that, and you are sending every kind of messages to the service bus, and then dispatch service can take care of these things by using constant load. This can have those load, I mean latter also, right? Now, the second thing is load balancing. How the thing load balancing comes up over here. So here you can see that I have variable load. In the left side, think it like a just like e-commerce website. So I am just ordering something and I have created the messages. So it's like the data I have created and it is getting passed to the Azure Service Bus. Now, what we will do is I really don't want to instantiate only one dispatcher service, right? So which will be responsible to dispatch the orders. I can create one thing that I can create multiple dispatcher service at a single time. So I can balance my load. I can distribute my load to multiple instances. So here also load will be balanced, right? So these are the benefits. We should use Azure Service Bus or any messaging platform. So these are some design patterns we actually use at the time of enterprise level applications. Now, the main component of Azure Service Bus. What is a namespace? There are four things in the service bus which is very, very important. That is namespace, queues, topics, and subscriptions. So what is a namespace? So namespace is a container for all the messaging components. Suppose you can see here, whatever I have created over here, you can see that these messages are residing in the Azure Service Bus. Either it can be a queue or it can be a topic. I will come later what is the difference between queue and topic, but either it will be a queue or topic. But this is the actual container, right? So if you can see, the namespace will be the same thing. So if I'll go to the next slide, you can see that namespace is a container for all the messaging components. Multiple queues and multiple topics can be in a single namespace, and namespace often serve as a application container. Now, what is queues? So there are two ways you can store the messages in the service bus. One is the queues, one is the topics. So the difference between queues and topics is queues are by default first in first out. As the name suggests, it is first in first out pattern, but not always. I will discuss where it will deviate the first in first out principle, but by default it is first in first out. Now, these messages are delivered in a pull mode, only delivering messages when requested. So I'll show you in a pictorial diagram so that you will be able to understand. And the operation can long-lived only to complete once a message is available. Okay. Now, what is topic? These are similar to queues, but these work in publish subscribe pattern. So just think it like a broadcasting message. So what is broadcasting message? Suppose I am the client and I am building a chat application. So whenever I am sending something and in my group, suppose I have a group over here, over in my chat applications, I have a group, office group. So if I am sending something, it has to be broadcasting to every other users, right? At that time, subscription takes place. Subscription plays a very important role, and it is coming under topics. So I can actually push everything to the topic, and topic will eventually broadcast those things to different subscribers, and eventually each subscriber will be the different users. So you can see in the subscription I have written it like the subscribers receives a copy of the message gone to the topic depending upon certain filtered rule set. So there will be certain filtered rule sets. I will show you in the pictorial diagram so that it will be understandable easily. And these rule sets filters the topic messages and broadcast it to the respective subscriptions. Now coming up to the how queue will work. Now you can see that there is one service 1. I will name it as service 1, and this one is service 2. Now I want to communicate between both the things by using Azure Service Bus. Now how come the queue will work? You will pass every message one by one, okay, to the queue. So it is first in first out. So you can see that every messages will be passed to the Azure Service Bus by one. In similar way, this second service will consume every single instances of these messages one by one, but it should be first in first out in the queue. Okay, so you can see that queue is first in first out, and it is point to point messaging. Point to point messaging means you have one client, not client, you have one service, and it will be consumed by only one service. So there will be no subscribers, there will be no different services which will be used to consume the queue messages at a time. Okay, you cannot do that. So yeah, there might be some other services which will be consuming these things, but not at a time. You cannot consume these things at a time. It will be point to point messaging only. Now, how the topic will work? If you can see, let this will be my service 1, and let this will be my service 2. Now, I am actually creating three messages over here. Suppose service 1 has created three items, and it is created three orders. Okay. Now you can see that suppose this service is being used by using this two user. Suppose end user 1 and end user 2 is using this service, and right now end user 1 is actually created this purple orders, and end user 2 is creating green orders. Now how the topic will work? Now you can see that this container is reflecting to the topic. So there will be filter properties, there will be filter properties. Now, what exactly filter properties is? Think it in this color coding, you can think it like this filter property one is your purple and this filter property is your green. So the topic will have the responsibility now to broadcast everything according to their filter properties. So if you can see, the purple is going to the first one and both the purple, and here it is coming as the second one. So if you don't have any filter property here, suppose I don't have any filter property, I really don't want any filters, and I have two endpoints, two subscriptions, so I want everything to be gone to the subscriptions. So there is no filter property, right? So this entire three messages will eventually go here, and this entire three messages will eventually go here as well. So you can relate these things right now with respect to the queues, right? The queue is point to point, but the topic is mostly publisher subscriber pattern. Uh, this service is actually publishing everything, and with respect to subscription, it is getting subscribed over here, as well as you have the benefit of filtrations over here with respect to certain conditions, and eventually you are broadcasting everything. What How come you are broadcasting? Suppose this will be one queue and this will be one queue, you need to do it again and again here as well as here, right? But here what I am doing, I am only sending these things to the topic, and topic is taking care how to broadcast it with respect to the filter conditions. Now in the similar way, my second application is actually consuming this thing. Okay, now the final thing is, what is a message session? So you remember I have already told in that queue session that queue is fast in fast out by default, but it is not always. So here this message session comes into one picture. What exactly it is? Think it like this one is my service one. So this has the responsibility of ordering the items, and this one is my service 2, which has the responsibility of dispatching the items. Now you see, suppose I have a bus. This pointer is representing to the Azure Service Bus. Now user 1, I have 2 users connected over here, 3 users I have connected over here. Okay, now user 1 has ordered 3 items like this. Okay, user 1 has ordered 3 items. Now user 2 has ordered only one item, and user 3 has ordered 4 items. Okay, so think it like that. Whenever there will be one order, you are sending the messages to the service bus. Whether it's queue or whether it's topic, it depending upon the architecture. Suppose you want to broadcast everything, you should use topic. You have the filtration criteria, you should use topic. If you don't have that luxury, you can always go for queues. So queues will be much more lesser costly. So you can always go for the queues as well. Now think it like that. User 1 has created 3 items, user 2 has created 1 item, and user 3 has created 4 items. Now how come this dispatcher will understand which one is for user 1 and which one is for user 2 and which one is for user 3? Forget about the data structure. Suppose in the data structure, I was actually in the message, I have a JSON, and there I'm passing some GUID, or I'm passing some username parameter, so that it will understand that yes, these things are being ordered by that user only, user one only. Forget about that. Now think it like a layman point of view. Now, you always want in the dispatcher side, in the dispatcher service, you always want that dispatcher service so that it will first consume all the items from the user one, and it will dispatch. And it will, and you can see that it will consume the user 2 one and it will dispatch. And user 4 one, user 3 one, and it will dispatch. But this has to be done simultaneously. It is a good idea that if you user one is ordering 3 items simultaneously, you really want to dispatch those items in a priority basis, right? So you should not be like, the dispatcher should not be like, you will consume the user one item one, then you will again consume the user two item two, not like that, right? right? It will create a data ambiguity in future, and it will be very very difficult to understand the data later when you will put it into the archives. Okay, so how come this will be done? Now you already have a message session. So it is a property provided in every messages in the Azure Service Bus, whether it's queue or topic. It is a property provided in the Azure Service Bus messages. So at the time of coding, I will show you how this message sessions will be configured through the coding or through the portal. Okay, right now I can only show you that these three items now gets consumed at a time. Once these things gets dispatched, this will be eventually moved out from the queues or topics or anything. Think it like a service bus container. Now, once this thing gets done, now you want to either opt user 3 or either opt user 2. That depends. I mean that is not necessarily important. So I'm let it be. Let we will just consume the user 2 right now. Now, this will consume the user too. This will process the things, and this will dispatch this message, this item. Now, once this thing gets done, you want to remove it from the queues or topics, right? So now this got removed. Now, once this thing gets done, there is only four items left, but four items is representing with respect to the user three only, right? So user three's message sessions. So there will be a session ID we will generate, and we will pass every messages over here in all the messages, so that the subscriber, the dispatcher service which will be subscribing all these things or will be consuming all these things, will able to understand that this messages has to be consumed simultaneously. Because suppose I have kept a data like 1 1 1 1, so user ID is 1111. So this will understand that, yeah, the user ID having 1 is actually has four items, and it has to be dispatched simultaneously. So now I have consumed four items simultaneously, and I will dispatch it from the Azure Service Bus container. Now what is happening? You can see that there is one trickier of options over here. Whenever I am dispatching something, you can see, unless and until I get something from here, all the things gets done. I'm not I'm not deleting anything in the messages. Okay, once these things gets done, I'm also deleting from the service bus queues or topics, whatever the namespace here. So what is the benefit? You can see that I have already initiated one order, and I have already dispatched that order, but I really don't have anything in the message, right? So what benefit you are getting? You are actually reducing the data persistency over here. So you are actually reducing the data, I mean, the way you are maintaining the data over here. So I really don't want to store the data which will be passed to here as an order item, and it will be dispatched as an order item. This service has done this work, and this service has done this work. So no need to store this order item here, right? So this will be eventually deleted. So service bus will always going to be left blank. So this has to be a very very uh, big design pattern in designing the service bus solutions, so that the service bus should have only minimal amount of data. It should not exceed more number of data. It has to be consumed by someone, and once the consumption gets done and once the result gets succeeded, then you have to delete those things from the service bus queue. You why to store everything over here, because those work has already been completed, right? Now, once this thing gets done, the last slide I am showing you the benefits of Azure Service Bus Enterprise. So first thing, you saw that decoupling has been done. So sender and consumer can work independently. I have shown you the example of ordering an item. So the sender is which the service which will order those things. Now the receiver part is the dispatcher one. Suppose I have ordered something, and I right now internally I want to dispatch that item to you, right? So those can work independently. You can see that I have already created load leveling and load balancing. So if I will go to my previous slide, you can able to understand that here I am actually load balancing. So here you can see I have already pushed everything over here and I am balancing the load. I am creating much different instances, and each instances can process one message item. So, I mean, if you have a huge amount of message item, there has to be a very big background process going on. You are storing it in the log, you are storing it in the SQL or in any data storage solution. You are passing an email notification to them. So those are depending upon a single service, right? So you can instantiate those things later as well, right? So once you can see those things, now you can see here. Give me 1 minute. I'll just show you what is the next point. This is how the queue works. This is how the topic works. The message sessions. Let me pull the PPT so that it will be beneficial for all of us because I have added the animations over there. Now, flexibility to broadcast the messages at a time depending upon the filter conditions. You see the topics. So how I have broadcasted. So suppose I have different users. I want to broadcast those messages. I have created one chat messages. I have sent it to the topic and I have 12 users in the group. So I really don't want to write the code which will eventually send all the users that messages, right? That can be taken care by Azure Service Bus topic. Now the fourth point is supports very high load. So it is very subjective. It depends upon how you have developed your architecture by utilizing the mechanism of Azure Service Bus, the instantiations, if you can see the dispatcher part, the consumer part, how the consumer will perform. If you have analyzed those things, you can actually support a very huge amount of load as well. And last but not the least, it is very important. So whenever you are writing the code to send the messages to the Azure Service Bus or maintaining the Azure Service Bus, you can actually write the code so that if some exception occurred, that message will not be deleted. Eventually, there is a dead letter system. I will show you in the next episodes. I will show you what will be the dead letters, how the exceptions will be handled, how you create the queues, how you create the topics, uh, how you send the messages to the queues as well as the topics, how it will be consumed. All those things I will show you in the next couple of episodes. This entire playlist will be little bit longer, so I have divided these things into different episodes so that it will be very easier for you to understand these things. So in this first episode, what we have discussed all about the fundamentals of Azure Service Bus. I have not touched anything related to code. I have not shown you anything related to the Azure portal. This is a very subjective episode. So I want to share with you the fundamentals of Azure Service Bus, how to think at the time of designing the Azure Service Bus, what will be the benefit of Azure Service Bus and all. So thank you for watching this video. Thanks for your love and support. Please keep like, comment and subscribe. Hope in the next episode you will be clear more related to how to design the service bus, how to create the queues in the portal as well as in the code, and what is the benefit by creating in the portal or by creating in the code, and how to send the messages to the service bus, how to receive the messages and process it in a particular way, and how to handle the exceptions and errors. I will cover all these things by creating one videos, one different episodes, so that it will be easier for you. Thank you. Thanks a lot.